Hello everyone, welcome back to Regular Toy Reviews, and today we're going to be looking at Studio Series Skywarp from the Transformers Bumblebee movie. But before we get started, I'd appreciate it if you left a like as it really helps with the algorithm, and consider subscribing as I put out videos like these every week. And last but not least, make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I have a surprise review. So since I haven't been collecting for that long really, maybe a little under a year, this is the first time I get my hands on one of the Seekers, and I really wanted Starscream at first, but just haven't gotten around to it. And I ran into this guy at GameStop one time when I was toy hunting with my cousin. So I decided to pick him up, and I've been quite impressed actually. Some people are complaining about the color, but I think it looks pretty good. If it was maybe a metallic purple, it would be much better. But as it is, I think it looks pretty good. It's got some paint on the thighs right here with the silver, and up here his cockpit. His face is also painted. If it wants to focus, come on, come on. Been sculpted pretty well. Turn him around, he's got his Decepticon insignias on the back. And yeah, it's been really well sculpted. It has hollow thighs right here, but they filled them in with that pattern to make up for it. I think that's really neat. They didn't have to do that, but that's really good attention to detail. There's only one complaint I have with this guy, and that's his blaster. So the way his blaster goes on is you just line up this 5mm peg on here to his hand, and yeah, just like that. But as you can see, it's kind of droopy and kind of silly looking. So I like to do it a separate way since it turns out that's a problem that all the Seekers have. I just like to hold this hand on itself and then just put this blaster in through the bottom, as it makes it look like it transformed out of his hand, and from most angles it looks pretty good, and it poses with it pretty well too, just like that. For some comparison, we're actually going to be bringing out his boss, Leader Class Megatron, and as you can see, he's a pretty sizable Voyager class considering he goes to about maybe his shoulder or so, and he's actually pretty wide because of his wings. And since we didn't really get to see this guy in the movie, I feel like this scale works out pretty well. And since we got a purple figure today, it's only logical that we bring out Shockwave here. As you can see, their tones are a little different, but goes maybe up to about his shoulder, considering this is actually a pretty tall Voyager class figure. And last but not least, of course, we gotta bring out the good old soda can that we missed on the last episode because I forgot. I'm gonna bring out two, just because I can. But here we have him in his Cybertron and jet form, and I'm not gonna lie, this is actually pretty good considering he has a lot of robot exposed. He's a pretty good size. He's pretty big. Like, here's my hand, and yeah, this is pretty huge. Don't really have many complaints about it, besides maybe his hands just being out here like that, hanging out. But his weapon storage is pretty good. It's just part of the jet itself, and yeah, it looks pretty good. For some comparison, here we have the Voyager class Optimus Prime, and yeah, it's quite a bit bigger. It feels a lot bigger in your hand too. Hey, yo, pause. But he has quite a bit of details here and there. You can see the Decepticon insignias on his wings once again, and yeah, I mean his thrusters, not really anything crazy. There, like I said, there's a lot of robot exposed here, but it's not really supposed to look like anything we make anyway. So it gets a pass from me. But in conclusion, I am gonna recommend you pick this guy up, whether you have the other Seekers or not. This guy's gonna stand out on your shelf, especially with that purple color. It's pretty bright, and honestly, this camera is not doing it justice. The posability is pretty good, as you can see in my super animated and super intricate pose that I just put him in. The attention to detail is pretty good, and honestly, for the size, I do think it's a pretty good value. But as promised, let's move on to the surprise review. And that's going to be this guy right here. Honestly, at first I didn't know what to think of it, but Bop It Optimus Prime, that sounded pretty fun. And honestly, it looks like they did a pretty good job with it. But let's take him out real quick and see what we can do with it. But here we have it, and honestly, from far away, you wouldn't even know this was a Bop It. But once you get up close, of course, you got your twist it, pull it, pop it right here on his windshield, and it's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie, and for what it is, the attention to detail, it's pretty good. You got an axe. They could have just gave us another hand, like over here, and you see you got paint right here, light details, two Autobot insignias. His eyes are painted. It's a pretty good product. I do recommend picking this up because it is pretty fun. This arm doesn't do anything, but they also could have just made it stiff like that, but you're able to move it around. Let's play a round real quick. Just a quick round, and we'll see what it is.
Greetings. I am Optimus Prime. Pop it to start. High score 18. Pop it. Twist it. Pull it. Pop it. Twist it. Twist it. Pop it. Pull it. Pop it. Pull it.
And let me just.
Failure is not an option. Score 31.
I feel like I could have kept going, but man, I didn't like how I got stuck between those two at first, but it's okay. I mean, honestly, if you just see this, it's about $14. Maybe if you see it on clearance, but if you want to pick this up, I do think it's pretty worth it. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like. Consider subscribing as I put out videos like these every week. And follow me on Instagram. I'm going to leave a link for that down in the description. And leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see next. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.